What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jordan, and this is Journey with Jordan. So welcome back. I have some ideas that I want to share today that I've been thinking about. I actually made a video to this a while back, but for some reason I can't find it. But this video is basically about it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to express emotion. It's okay to express the feelings, and I'm going to explain to you why. And this video is even kind of hard for me to talk about because as someone that grew up not really expressing my feelings, not really growing up in a family that expressed emotion and feelings, kind of just held everything in, it's kind of the life that I lived of holding in emotion, not expressing my feelings. And even as a man in today's society and culture, it's kind of, I don't know how other people think about it, but for me, from my perspective, I see it as showing emotion, or people see men that are showing emotion as weak, not masculine. But even then, talking about masculinity, it's you got to have a balance between feminine and masculine and your masculine side because everything has to have a balance, right? But okay, I'll get back to the original topic. But yeah, for me growing up, it was hard for me to express my emotions and my feelings. And then as I got older and older, I started realizing what that was doing to me. And when you're storing the emotion and feelings and not allowing yourself to feel these feelings, what you're doing is you're storing it in your body. And this is what people call baggage. Some philosophies and religions call it karma. That's your karma, this energy you're storing in your body. And when you start collecting this energy in your body, it can start to make energetic changes within you, and you won't even know, like subconscious changes within your daily habits, your relationships, your relationship with yourself. Um, and this is where I'll get to breaking down what emotion is. Emotion is just energy and motion. So you can express this energy in many different ways, which I'll get to also. But at the core of it, emotion is energy and motion. When something that happens to you in your life, whether it be good or bad, and it brings up emotion, it's important to allow yourself to sit there and really feel this emotion instead of just brushing it off and storing it as baggage. Like throughout our life, we are collecting energy, we're feeling emotions. Every situation we're in, we're feeling it. And the core to getting down to expressing this emotion and sitting with it is you have to really get back to yourself. You have to take time to know yourself and to get in touch with your feelings. First, you have to get in touch with your feelings. And this is where taking time to yourself comes into play, which can be a form of meditation, which could be a form of doing something you loved as a child. That's also getting back in touch with your inner child. And that's a lot of inner work. But meditation, just sitting there, being quiet in the mind, letting the mind do its thing. Or when a feeling arises, you can sit there in that feeling and just ask yourself questions. Why am I feeling this way? What about this situation made this emotion come up? How can I deal with this emotion? How can I express this emotion in a healthy way? How can I break these habits? Because once you start collecting this energy on your back, it starts changing your habits. I know I started noticing this once I read this book. It's based on Eastern philosophy, Buddhism. It talks a lot about yogis and their energy and how they break down their energy. But I read this book and I started realizing that I wasn't allowing myself to feel feelings after I read this book because he talks about even like in relationships with I'll talk about that in another video. But in that book, Karma, it's based on Eastern philosophies. But he talks about how ways to break down energy and how stored energy can change your habits and your daily life. And for me personally, I didn't know I was doing any of this until I read this book and I started implementing these things into my daily life: meditation, yoga, a healthy diet, just a healthy awareness of myself. It brought more awareness to my actions and what I was doing. And then when I noticed that, I was like, dang, a lot of these things I'm doing is not really me. And I was like, why am I doing these things? Like when I was in college, I was using coping mechanism, which is the second part of this video that I'm going to get to. I adopted these coping mechanisms to mask my feelings. I was trying to get away from my situation that I was in. I was in college playing college sports. I had all these classes. I was stressed. I didn't want to be there. I wasn't present. I was just trying to escape. So what I did was I adopted all of these coping mechanisms, which was partying, being with the girls, getting out of the town any chance I could, just escaping the area. What else was I doing? I was drinking, excessively drinking, and I was like, man, once I read this book, I was like, that's not really me. Those habits I adopted those as coping mechanisms because I was trying to cope for those feelings that I had, but I wasn't expressing. So they led to me adopting these unhealthy habits, this unhealthy lifestyle. So then when I started becoming aware of myself, I kind of started paying attention to where I was holding these feelings, and then through meditations I could feel these feelings coming up, and I started processing them. And when I started doing that and being more aware of how I was feeling, I felt a big energetic shift in my body. Like I really could tell that this was changing my energy, and it's not easy because when you have to sit there and feel that emotion, that scenario has to rise up in you again, and you have to process it, because if you don't, it's going to stay stored, stuck in your body, and this can lead to blockages in creativity, blockages in your relationships. Just being It'll block you from being present. It blocks you from being aware in the moment, where you can flow with the world and flow with the universe. Like it takes you completely out of your rhythm. And processing those energies, it takes a lot of work. It's not something that just happens overnight, but it's something that it takes a lifetime to do. Being aware and processing your feelings and emotion it's a lifetime journey. And yogis talk about it all the time. These monks that go up to mountains and meditate for years and stay away from society and people, what they're doing is they're cutting off all their bad habits. They're cutting off all their coping mechanisms, and they're just going into solitude and processing all this energy. And that's how they become a form of enlightenment. And they can, in their philosophy and religion and cultures, this is where they are enlightened. And in their culture also, they talk about even your past reincarnations in this world and your ancestors, their stored energy, stuck karma. That's why they have this thing, generational curses. That's their trauma and their DNA, their stored energy getting processed onto you. So you still have to heal from ancestral trauma. You have to heal from um, your past reincarnations if you believe in reincarnation. Like you have to heal from that trauma and that energy that was even stuck there. So just being more aware about how you feel can take you a really long way. And this is where I'm going to get into coping mechanisms, because in today's society, we have alcohol to run to. It's so accessible. We have weed, we have drugs, we have women, we have social media. Social media is a big one. I just took a cleanse from social media, and man, I'm gonna make a video on that about too. But social media is distracting us from how we feel. Because I noticed when I would be in an awkward situation or something, I would grab my phone. I would started doing all these things. I'm like, well, why am I doing this? It's a coping mechanism. When I wanted to drink after a game or like practice or something, when I was stressed, I had tests, I had classes, and I wanted to just drink and party and forget everything. Like that was a coping mechanism. And a lot of people, they vape. Like you can sit there, and when you start feeling this emotion and you start noticing that you're reaching for something that is maybe unhealthy for you, or something that you picked up as a habit that you wouldn't usually do, just sit there in that moment and think about it. Why am I reaching for this? Is there emotion trying to arise in me? Like, is there something I can process? And then you can also, once you start doing that, that's becoming aware. That's getting back in tune with yourself and thinking about your habits, and then the things you're doing to cope with your feelings and your emotion. Because it's so easy in today's society to get led astray when you get uncomfortable. Like, we have become a society that doesn't really thrive in uncomfortable situations, because it's so easy for us to grab something, reach for something that makes us comfortable again, which is something that I'm trying to implement into my day to day. I'm trying to put myself in more uncomfortable situations, which in front of this camera for me is uncomfortable, but I'm still doing it. And you start to know yourself more. You start to learn how to settle in with yourself. You come back to yourself when you cut these coping mechanisms out. And you can replace these with healthy coping mechanisms. I know I keep saying that word, but you can replace them with healthy habits, such as you're reaching for something that gives you dopamine. You could switch out that for something serving you, the gym, going for a walk outside, sitting down for a quick meditation. It produces dopamine in the brain, and it can create a healthy habit. You can really, really, really rewire yourself that way. Because when you get into alcohol and you get addicted to social media and these other things, they're rewiring your brain, and they will turn you into someone you're not, and you will start adopting these habits that aren't really you. And then your whole life can take a whole nother route just from just simply not processing your emotions and allowing yourself to feel. And it's hard for a lot of people these days, especially in certain cultures, for men to express emotion. That's why mental health is so big these days for men. Like, there's this big percentage of suicides that are male because males, I guess for some reason, they don't feel like they can express how they're feeling. They don't feel like they can express that emotion. So when you keep holding it in, it becomes this cloud over your head and rewires your whole brain, and it can lead you to doing these things that you wouldn't normally do. So getting the stored energy out of your body can lead you back to yourself. And I talked about earlier, there's some things you can do, but you can also do some research and find some things that more fit your lifestyle, your culture, your religion, whatever it may be. Such as, I know for me, what I was doing was I was doing meditation. I had a healthy gym routine. I kind of cut back on the alcohol. I started realizing that it wasn't serving me, that it was really rewiring my brain, leading me to these habits that I wouldn't be doing. I never really got into the vape or anything like that, but also social media recently. I had to cut out social media and just get back to myself, get back to my thoughts. But I'll make a video on social media and stuff too also. But when you allow yourself to come back to yourself, this is when you're truly getting in tune with the universe, with the present moment. You're allowed to flow. You can get your creativity back. You can remove these blockages from your body, and it allows you to get back into what you were doing before, whatever that may be, if you felt like you got straight off in another route. And you can YouTube videos, how to burn off karma, how to burn off energy, how to release stored emotion. There's breath work techniques you can do that help you process trauma in the body and release these emotions. And that's something I'm still working on. I still struggle because even in relationships, it can ruin your relationships. I know throughout my past relationships, even with women and females, with women, I wouldn't allow myself to fully commit. Like, I would be in the relationship, yeah, but I always had this wall up where I didn't allow myself to like actually be loved and love, and I'm still working with that. Like, and that comes from not allowing myself to feel feelings. Like, I wouldn't let myself fully commit because there was something in me that was blocking my heart or whatever that may be. But I'm still working on that too now, and it's a journey. These things don't happen overnight. You got to just keep fighting, keep pushing, keep being aware. Awareness is really key. If you can become aware of your habits and the things that are your daily routine and what you're doing, you'll start to notice those things that when you get uncomfortable that you start reaching for. Yeah, and then for today, I think that's all I got. I'm going to continue producing these thoughts that come to me and throughout my day, things that I'm practicing and working on. I'll keep sharing it because I know some people can benefit from it. Hopefully people can benefit from it and process these feelings, these emotions, whatever you may, mental, whatever you need help with. I hope it can register with you in some way and you can implement it into your day to day. And if I can help one person, I'm happy. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is The Journey with Jordan.